far away, beyond the stars, stood a place no human had ever walked before. The Vokar Military Academy. It was the pride of the galaxy, home to the strongest warrior races, towering reptilians, armored insects, and glowing beings of pure energy. They trained here to become protectors, conquerors, legends. And on that cold silver morning, something unexpected happened. A transport ship landed. The ramp lowered slowly, and out stepped a human. He looked small, fragile, soft-skinned, like a mistake among monsters. Every pair of alien eyes turned toward him. A whisper passed through the crowd like static. "Is that a human?" Laughter followed, sharp and cruel. Some of the predator cadets even bared their teeth in mockery. The air filled with amusement and disbelief. The human's name was Alex Carter. He didn't speak. He didn't react. He just stood there, calm, still, silent. A tall, scaled cadet smirked. "Maybe they brought him here for entertainment." Another one growled, "He'll last one day." The instructor, Commander Serac, looked down from the training platform. He was older, scarred, his silver eyes filled with the wisdom of battle. He had seen thousands of recruits, but never a human. "Cadet Carter," Serac said, voice cold as metal. "Step forward." Alex obeyed, his boots light against the steel floor. His gaze never wavered. Serac studied him for a long moment, then spoke. "Do you know where you are?" "Yes, sir," Alex replied softly. "The best military academy in the galaxy." Murmurs spread through the cadets. That calm tone. No fear, no pride, just certainty. Serac's eyes narrowed. "And do you think you belong here, human?" A small pause. Then Alex's quiet answer. "We'll find out, sir." The laughter returned, louder this time. Even Serac's mouth twitched, though not in humor. He simply nodded. "We will." Training began the next day. The Aliens showed off their power, lifting heavy plasma rifles like toys, running at impossible speed, their armor gleaming. Alex struggled. He lifted, stumbled, fell. The others howled with laughter. "He can't even lift a basic pack." "Send him home to his blue planet." Alex said nothing. No anger, no excuses. He just stood, breathing slowly, trying again. By sunset, he was bruised and covered in dust. He limped back to the barracks, quietly. That night, when the others slept, Alex was awake. The twin moons shone through the academy windows. He stood alone in the empty training hall, repeating every drill, slowly, carefully. He practiced grip, footwork, breathing. Every failure of the day, he repeated until it wasn't a failure anymore. The shadows were his only witnesses. Commander Serac happened to pass by, unseen. He stopped, watching through the glass. The human's movements were clumsy, but focused. No frustration, no quit. There was something there, something not physical. Hours passed. Alex fell again and again. But every time, he stood back up. When the first light of morning touched the training field, Alex was still practicing, eyes half closed, body trembling, but still moving. And for the first time, Serac smiled faintly. The next day, the alien cadets noticed something strange. The human no longer reacted to their mockery. He didn't even look their way. He worked, quiet, steady, focused. The laughter started to lose its power. One cadet spat on the ground. "Why bother, human? You'll never be one of us." Alex looked at him just once, with eyes calm as winter. "I'm not trying to be one of you," he said softly. "I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday." The alien frowned, uncertain how to reply. For a brief moment, the entire field went silent. Then Commander Serac's voice echoed, "Enough talk, back to training." But his eyes followed Lex longer than before. There was something in that human, something different, not strength, not speed, but something invisible, something the others didn't yet understand. And deep inside, even Serac felt it, a strange respect forming where doubt once lived. The human kept training. The others kept laughing. But the distance between them was slowly changing. Because sometimes the quiet ones are the ones you should be afraid of. Before the next scene begins, if you're enjoying this story, take a second to subscribe to this channel. There's much more to come. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. That night, Alex sat under the twin moons again. His hands were shaking. His breath came slow. But his eyes, still calm, still burning with quiet fire. He whispered to himself, "They'll see. One day, they'll see." The stars above seemed to listen. And somewhere, in the darkness of the academy halls, Commander Serac turned away from the window, whispering to himself, "I think I already do." The story of the human had only just begun. The next morning began with the thunder of boots on steel, the sound of thousands of cadets marching in perfect rhythm. The air smelled like iron and ozone. The twin suns had barely risen, yet the training field already burned with energy, and among those countless alien soldiers stood the human. Alex Carter, smaller, slower, but still there. Commander Serac's voice cut through the chaos. "Today, you will face your first real test." The cadets straightened immediately, every species ready for battle. Serac continued, his tone heavy with command. "This is not a lesson in strength. It is a lesson in control. You will work as one. You will follow orders. You will survive or fail." The crowd buzzed. For most cadets, this was routine. For the human, it could mean humiliation, or worse. Serac turned sharply, his silver eyes landing on Alex. "You, human? Step forward." A whisper spread like fire. "Oh no, he's done for." "Let's see how soft Earth warriors really are." Alex stepped out quietly. No fear, no pride, just calm focus. Serac handed him a pulse rifle, almost as tall as Alex himself. The weapon hummed with alien power, its crystal core glowing faintly blue. Alex's arms trembled as he held it. The crowd snickered. "Human, do you even know how to fire that? Careful, it might knock him over." Alex's fingers brushed over the weapon's surface. Slow, careful. He studied every part of it, eyes narrowing slightly as he searched for its balance point. He didn't answer them. He didn't need to. Serac's gaze remained sharp. "Target range. 3 shots. Hit or miss. You only get 1 chance." Alex raised the rifle. It was heavy, heavier than anything he'd trained with on Earth. The sights shimmered, alien and strange. He took a deep breath, exhaled, and fired. The recoil slammed into his shoulder, hard, but the shot flew straight and hit dead center. Silence. Then another shot. And another. Each one perfect. The laughter died instantly. Even Sirach's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened behind his back, a subtle sign of surprise. He nodded once, acceptable, and turned away before anyone could see the flicker of pride in his eyes. But that wasn't the end. Later that day, during physical training, the aliens decided they'd had enough of the humans' quiet victories. Galactic, the massive predator cadet with scales like black armor, decided to teach the human a lesson. As the cadets gathered for hand-to-hand drills, Galactic walked toward Alex, claws clicking against the floor. His grin was wide, cruel. "Ready, little human?" Alex looked up at him, expression calm, unreadable. "Always." The instructor called the start. Galactic lunged, faster than a blur, claws slashing. Alex ducked under the first swing. The second claw scraped the air just inches from his head. The audience roared with excitement. "It'd crush him! Show him what a real soldier is!" But Alex moved differently. Not like a soldier, more like water. He didn't fight for power. He fought for position. He didn't strike first. He waited, watched. And when Galactic grew reckless, Alex saw his opening. He sidestepped, twisted Galactic's wrist, and used the alien's own weight against him, sending him crashing to the ground with a loud metallic clang. The entire arena froze. Galactic lay flat on his back, breathless. The human just stood there, hand outstretched to help him up. No one spoke. Even the instructor, who had seen 1,000 fights, couldn't hide his shock. The laughter that had filled the academy for days was gone, replaced by stunned silence. Sirach's voice finally broke it. "Cadet Carter wins." Galactic looked up, angry, humiliated, but also confused. He took the human's hand, reluctantly, and Alex pulled him to his feet. For a moment, their eyes met, and something shifted. Not friendship, not yet, but respect. After the match, as the cadets dispersed, Sirach approached Alex privately. "You have training, don't you?" Alex hesitated, then nodded. "Some." "Where?" Sirach pressed. Alex looked out toward the sky, where the twin moons hung like silver coins. "From people who never had the luxury of strength," he said quietly. "Only the will to survive." Sirach didn't reply, but in his eyes, for the first time, there was understanding. That night, the academy halls whispered with rumors. Maybe humans aren't weak, after all. I heard they fought wars just to stay alive on their own world. They say they never give up, ever. Alex sat alone again in the quiet barracks. His body ached. His hands were bruised, but his mind was sharper than ever. He thought of home, of blue skies and endless oceans, of Earth's wars and scars. And he thought of all the people who had told him he'd never make it here. He smiled faintly. "They'll see," he whispered again. "They'll all see." Outside, a cold wind howled through the academy towers, carrying dust, mold, onlight, and the faint echo of laughter fading into memory. And from his office window, Commander Serac watched the human once more. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. But deep inside, he knew. Something had begun. Something that would change the academy forever. In the training yard, the next day's assignments appeared on every cadet's display, and at the top of the list was a name that shocked them all. Team Leader, Cadet Alex Carter. The aliens stared at the announcement, then slowly, one by one, turned to look at the human. Quiet, steady, unreadable. He met their gazes with calm eyes. And in that silent moment, a spark of curiosity replaced the laughter that once surrounded him. The galaxy's strongest cadets were about to learn what it truly meant to underestimate a human. The third day began with thunder in the skies. Dark clouds swirled above the training compound as if the world itself sensed what was coming. The cadets gathered in silence. No laughter this time. No mocking whispers. Something had changed. Commander Serac stood on the command platform, cloak rippling in the wind. His voice echoed across the yard. Today, we go beyond drills, beyond strength. Today, we test your instincts. The ground beneath them opened in a series of metallic plates, revealing an enormous training dome. A battlefield simulation unlike anything Alex had seen before. Holographic mountains rose from the floor, smoke and digital fog filling the air. It looked almost real, too real. Serac's tone dropped lower, heavier. You will be dropped into the simulation in teams. Survive until extraction. No weapons beyond what you find inside. The alien cadets grinned. Finally, something they were born for. But when they looked toward Alex, there was no grin to answer them. He just adjusted his gloves and nodded. Serac's gaze flicked briefly toward him. Something Abby. Out the human stillness unsettled even him. One by one, the teams entered the dome. The moment Alex stepped through the shimmering blue field, the world around him shifted. The air grew hot. The ground beneath his boots turned to dust. It was a wasteland filled with burning wreckage, ruined machines, and the echo of distant gunfire. A digital voice echoed in his ear. Simulation start. Alex moved quickly, low and silent. His teammates, 2 insectoid soldiers and a reptilian brute, followed behind reluctantly. The reptilian, Gar-Tech, still bruised from their earlier fight, growled. Don't slow us down, human. Alex said nothing. He scanned the horizon. No movement, no signals, but the wind carried faint mechanical sounds. Drones. They're surrounding us, he said quietly. The insectoid soldier clicked in disbelief. You can't know that. Sensors show nothing. Alex didn't answer. He simply dropped to one knee, pressing his hand to the dust. Moments later, the ground trembled. Faint metallic vibrations. Then, from the smoke ahead, the first attack drone burst through. The others froze. Alex was already moving. He threw himself sideways as the drone fired a plasma burst, grabbed a shard of broken metal from the ground, and hurled it, piercing the drone's sensor eye. It fell with a crash. The others stared. How? Alex was already scanning for the next threat. Move, he ordered. We're not safe here. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Calm, firm, certain. Without realizing it, the others followed. Hours passed. The simulation changed constantly. Desert to forest, forest to ruins, ruins to ice fields. Everywhere they went, danger followed. Enemy drones, traps, simulated predators. Most teams fell quickly, but Alex's group kept surviving. Not because they were stronger, but because they were smarter. The reptilian brute finally muttered under his breath, "You're not fighting like a soldier. You're fighting like prey." Alex looked back, eyes steady. "No," he said quietly. "I'm fighting like someone who knows what it means to lose." By the 6th hour, the simulation had turned into chaos. Explosions flashed across the horizon as remaining teams fought to survive. The Academy instructors watched from the control room, analyzing every move. "Team 7, still active," one technician said. "Led by the human." Serac leaned forward. "Show me." On the screen, Alex and his team were pinned down inside a crumbling building surrounded by drones. Instead of panicking, Alex was drawing in the dirt, quick sketches, maps, and lines. "What is he doing?" one officer asked. "Planning," Serac said softly. Moments later, Alex whispered something to his teammates. They moved silently, splitting into positions, setting up traps using fallen drone parts. When the enemy surrounded the building, the humans' plan unfolded like clockwork. Decoys, diversions, ambush points. Within minutes, every drone was down. Serac's expression didn't change, but deep inside, something stirred. Respect, perhaps even pride. When the simulation finally ended, only 2 teams remained standing. Alex's team, and one led by a notorious predator cadet from the Academy's elite division. The final scenario loaded. The environment changed into an ancient city. Narrow streets, flickering light, shadows everywhere. The 2 teams were dropped on opposite sides. The other cadets came out charging, roaring, firing wildly. Alex crouched behind cover, eyes darting, mind working. He closed his eyes for a second, listening to every sound. The footsteps, the distant hum of weapons, the faint echo of a broken pipe. Then he whispered, "Left flank, now." His team moved without question. They struck like ghosts, fast, silent, precise. Within minutes, the elite team was surrounded and outmaneuvered. When the simulation ended, the announcement echoed, "Team 7, victory." The dome lights blackened, and the illusion faded. The cadets stepped out, dazed and speechless. Alex stood there, covered in dust and sweat, but calm as ever. His teammates looked at him differently now. No more mockery, no more doubt, just silence and quiet awe. From the observation deck, Serac descended the stairs slowly. Every cadet straightened, waiting for him to speak. He stopped in front of Alex. For a long moment, no one dared breathe. Then Serac said quietly, "You broke every rule of standard formation. You disobeyed half the directives." He paused. Then his voice softened. "And yet, your team survived when all others failed." He leaned closer, eyes sharp like steel. "Tell me, human, where did you learn tactics like that?" Alex hesitated, then said simply, "From a place where mistakes mean people die." Serac stared at him. The room so silent, it felt like time itself had stopped. Then, to everyone's shock, the old commander smiled slightly. A small, almost invisible smile. He turned away. Dismissed. The cadets broke formation slowly, still whispering, still watching the human. But deep inside that hall, something had shifted forever. Because that day, for the first time, every cadet, predator, insectoid, or machine-born, learned something their strength had never taught them. That the quiet human among them might just be the most dangerous being in the academy. And this was only the beginning. Rain fell that night on Vokar Academy. Cold, silver rain, like needles cutting through the neon lights of the training compound. The cadets slept soundly after the brutal simulation. All except one. Alex Carter sat alone under the overhang near the barracks, rain dripping down his hair, steam rising from his breath. He stared into the storm like he was seeing something far away, something only he remembered. Footsteps approached behind him, heavy, steady, familiar. "Can't sleep, human." It was Galactic. The huge reptilian warrior loomed beside him, his scaled armor shining wet in the rain. Alex didn't look up. Never could, after battles. Galactic snorted softly. "You call that a battle?" "It was a simulation." Alex finally turned his head, his eyes calm, but heavy with meaning. "Tell that to the ones who died screaming inside it." Galactic blinked, unsure if he was joking, or if humans really felt war that deeply. He wanted to say something, but words refused to come. He just grunted and sat beside him in silence. The rain fell harder. For a moment, the predator and the human just sat, two soldiers from worlds apart, bound by something invisible. Survival. The next morning, the academy shook with energy again. Serac had announced the next challenge, the gauntlet. No teams this time, no allies, just individuals, against the academy's most dangerous automated trial. Every cadet who survived it earned their insignia, their right to command. Every cadet who failed left the academy in shame. The field was enormous, a maze of steel towers, shifting platforms, and energy traps, each level harder than the last. Alex stood in line with hundreds of others. The aliens looked restless, nervous. Some whispered about the human. Others watched him quietly, trying to read the man who had somehow outsmarted them all. When his name was called, the entire yard seemed to pause. "Cadet Alex Carter, enter the gauntlet." He stepped forward. No armor, no weapon, just his training uniform and his mind. Serac watched from the control deck, arms crossed. The instructors beside him murmured, "He won't last a minute." But Serac said nothing. He just kept watching. The doors closed behind Alex. Instantly, darkness. Then, light. Blinding white light that revealed a massive chamber filled with moving walls, laser grids, spinning blades, and energy pulses that flashed with deadly rhythm. It was alive. The room itself seemed to breathe. Alex took a slow breath. His heart raced, but his hands stayed steady. He moved carefully, timing the rhythm of the traps, one step at a time. He ducked, rolled, slid under the moving walls just before they crushed together. Every movement precise, not perfect, but smart. The system adapted, reading his every move. The traps got faster, more chaotic. Energy bolts screamed past him, cutting close enough to burn his sleeves. He stumbled, fell. Pain shot through his shoulder. He stayed down for half a second, then pushed back up. The alien spectators watching from above gasped as he kept going, slow, bleeding, but never stopping. "Why doesn't he just quit?" one of them muttered. Serac's voice, quiet as thunder, answered, "Because humans don't." By the third stage, Alex's body was trembling. The gauntlet was designed to break even the strongest cadets. endless obstacles, traps that learned your every move. But Alex wasn't fighting it like a warrior. He was solving it like a puzzle. He noticed how the walls repeated patterns, how certain lights blinked before the next attack. He used them, turned the maze against itself. When one tower began firing energy bolts, he ducked behind a reflective plate, redirecting the blasts to destroy the other turrets. The instructors leaned forward, stunned. "He's not surviving it," one whispered. "He's beating it." By the fifth stage, smoke and heat filled the chamber. His uniform was scorched, his hands bleeding. Every muscle screamed, but his eyes still burned with quiet determination. At last, the final gate appeared. A towering door guarded by a machine sentinel twice his size. Its metallic claws crackled with plasma energy. Alex stood before it, breathing hard. The sentinel lunged. He dodged once, twice, barely alive. The creature swung again, its claws missing him by inches. Alex grabbed a fallen steel rod and struck back. Sparks flew. It wasn't enough. The rod snapped. The sentinel raised its claws for a killing strike. But Alex had been waiting for that. He rolled under it, grabbed one of the broken cables trailing from its core, and jammed it into the energy port on its leg. Electricity screamed through the machine. It froze, and then collapsed with a deafening crash. Silence. The gate behind it opened. The exit. Alex stumbled through, falling to his knees as the simulation powered down. The lights came on. The observers were silent. Every single cadet stared through the glass, unable to speak. The human had finished the gauntlet. Serac descended from the platform slowly. He walked up to Alex, who was still kneeling, breathing heavily, eyes half closed from exhaustion. "Stand, cadet," Serac said quietly. Alex rose. Barely. He looked up at the commander, rainwater and sweat dripping down his face. Serac studied him for a long time. Then, in a moment that would be remembered forever, he raised his hand and saluted. The entire hall froze. The other cadets looked at each other, unsure if they were dreaming. Serac, the most feared instructor in the galaxy, was saluting a human. Alex didn't move for a heartbeat. Then slowly, quietly, he saluted back. The silence stretched on, until, one by one, the other cadets began to follow. Predators, insectoids, mech-born soldiers, all standing tall, all saluting the small, tired human who had refused to fall. The sound of hundreds of boots striking the ground filled the hall like thunder. For the first time in its long history, the Academy honored a species once mocked as weak. And above it all, Commander Serac's voice echoed, calm and proud. "Strength can be built, power can be learned, but willpower, that is born." Alex stood there, breathing hard, surrounded by the sound of respect. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just looked up at the rain falling through the open roof and whispered, "Humans don't quit." But what no one noticed, not yet, was the shadow that lingered beyond the viewing deck. A tall figure watching the human's triumph with cold eyes. A figure who whispered into a comlink, "He's the one. The project is alive." The rain drowned the rest. The next chapter of Alex Carter's story had only just begun. The storm did not end that night. It rolled over the horizon like a living thing, growling and flashing across the academy skies. But inside the barracks, it was completely silent. Every cadet had seen it, the impossible moment when Commander Serac saluted the human. No one dared speak of it aloud, yet everyone thought the same thing. The academy would never be the same again. Alex lay awake on his bunk, staring at the ceiling, his body aching from the gauntlet. His muscles screamed, but his mind refused to rest. The look on Serac's face, that mix of pride and confusion, played again and again in his head. He turned to the window. Through the rain, he saw shadows moving across the courtyard. Dark figures, silent and quick. Not cadets, not instructors. Something else. He sat up slowly. A whisper of warning rippled through his instincts. That same old feeling he had known from real battlefields back home. Something was coming. The next morning, the academy was strangely quiet. The usual noise, boots, laughter, drills, had faded into murmurs. Whispers followed Alex wherever he went. Some cadets saluted him in secret. Others avoided his eyes entirely. But above them, high in the control tower, Commander Serac met with an unfamiliar officer, tall, cloaked, his voice sharp and mechanical. "You saluted him," the officer said. "A human. You know what that means." Serac's jaw tightened. "It means I respect what I saw." "It means," the officer hissed, "he might be the one they warned us about." Serac frowned. "You're talking nonsense." But deep down, even Serac felt something strange about the human. No normal man could have survived the gauntlet like that. No normal mind could move like his. "Keep him under observation," the officer said, turning toward the rain-soaked window. "If he is what I think he is, he's dangerous." That afternoon, a new assignment appeared on the cadet boards. Special Operation Silent Ground. Only 10 recruits selected. Alex Carter's name was at the top. When the cadets saw it, confusion rippled through them. The mission was off-world, a real field deployment, not training. Why would they send a human into that? Alex said nothing. He simply gathered his gear and boarded the dropship. Galactic followed close behind, jaw tight but loyal. "Guess you're leading again, human," he grunted. Alex gave a small nod. "Guess so." The engines roared. The stars stretched into streaks of light. And just like that, the academy vanished behind them. The ship broke through clouds over a dark red planet, barren, quiet, half lit by a dying sun. Their mission was simple: investigate an abandoned outpost sending strange signals. But as they landed, a chill spread through the group. The outpost looked ancient. Metal towers half melted, sand covering everything. And yet, faint lights still pulsed deep inside. Alex's boots crunched on the ground as he led the way. The air was thick, humming with static. "Something's alive here," he muttered. Galactic grinned nervously. "Good. I was getting bored." They entered the main hall, walls carved with symbols none of the aliens recognized. Alex stopped in front of one of them, tracing the markings with his glove. "This isn't alien," he said softly. "It's human." The others froze. "That's impossible," said the insectoid cadet. "No human has ever been here." Alex didn't reply. He just stared at the strange sigil. A broken earth flag burned into the wall, surrounded by strange runes. Something deep in his memory stirred. A voice, a flash, a field of fire and static. He turned suddenly, weapon up. "Something's moving." A shadow slipped between the corridors. Fast, Silent. Then another. The beam spread out, lights flickered, the air turned cold. And from the darkness came a whisper, mechanical, broken, familiar. "Welcome back, Soldier Carter." The group froze. The voice echoed from all directions, layered and distorted. Alex's blood ran cold. He hadn't heard that voice since the fall of Europa. "How do you know that name?" he shouted. The lights snapped on, revealing a dozen drones rising from the floor, their bodies old but still deadly. And behind them, a hologram flickered, a man's face. Human, scarred, eyes like fire. "We built this place for you." The alien cadets opened fire, chaos filling the hall. Plasma bolts ripped through the air, sparks and smoke blinding everyone. But Alex didn't fire. He was frozen, watching the hologram, trying to remember. "Project Resurgence," the voice continued. "You were the last one left." A shock ran through him. Sudden, sharp, like a memory unlocking. Flashes, white labs, voices shouting, pain, light. He had been here before. He just didn't remember. "Carter!" Gartek shouted, pulling him back as a drone fired. Alex snapped out of it, rolled behind cover, and returned fire. Clean, surgical, efficient. Not the way a cadet fought. The way a soldier killed. When it was over, the outpost lay silent again. The drones were destroyed. The hologram had vanished. But something inside Alex had changed. He sat on the cracked floor, staring at his hands, shaking slightly. "What was that?" Gartek asked, breathing hard. Alex looked up, his voice low. "I don't know, but I think I used to." Outside, the storm raged across the red horizon. Their ship's engines flickered weakly, damaged in the fight. From the comms, a cold voice came through, the same officer who had spoken to Serac earlier. "Cadet Carter, return immediately. The commander requests your presence. And you will come alone." Alex glanced at his team, then at the storm outside. Something in his gut twisted, a deep, old fear. He knew that tone. It wasn't a request. He stood slowly, dust falling from his shoulders. "Pack up," he said. "We're going home." But even as they rose to leave, far beneath the outpost, deep under the sand, a red light flickered to life, and a quiet machine voice whispered into the dark. "Human unit reactivated. Phase 2 initiated." The storm swallowed the sound. And above, as the ship lifted into the clouds, Alex Carter closed his eyes and felt something awaken inside him that he could no longer control. The academy had changed him. But now, the galaxy itself was about to learn what it meant, when a human remembered what he truly was. The rain had stopped by the time Alex returned to Voca Academy, but the air felt wrong. Heavy, charged with a silence that pressed against the skin. The other cadets had gathered near the landing bay, whispering. They expected celebration, another victory story about the unstoppable human. But when the dropship door opened, Alex didn't step out like a hero. He walked slowly, his uniform scorched, his expression unreadable. Something dark moved behind his eyes, something awake. Commander Serac stood waiting at the platform, arms folded, no words of praise, no nod of respect, only quiet tension. "Report," Serac said. Alex met his gaze. The outpost was human, older than any record I know. Something was waiting for us. The commander's face remained unreadable, but his voice sharpened. "Waiting for you, Cadet Carter?" Alex hesitated. It said my name. It knew who I was. Serac's jaw tightened, just slightly. "Enough for now. You'll debrief in the command hall at 1900 hours, alone." The emphasis on that last word made the alien cadets glance at one another. Alex gave a faint nod. "Understood, sir." He walked away, feeling eyes on his back, whispers chasing him like ghosts. The laughter that once mocked him had turned into curiosity and fear. That night, the academy halls were empty. Only the hum of generators and the faint whisper of wind filled the silence. Alex entered the command hall, the doors sliding shut behind him. The lights dimmed, leaving only the cold blue glow of the central holotable. Serac stood there, waiting. But he wasn't alone. Beside him was the same cloaked officer Alex had glimpsed from afar. Now, face uncovered, the figure was revealed as something not entirely organic, half flesh, half machine. His eyes gleamed silver, his voice layered with static. "Human," he said softly, almost reverently. "Do you know what you are?" Alex frowned. "A cadet. A soldier." The man's metallic lips twisted into a small, cruel smile. "No, you are a relic, the last piece of a forgotten war." Serac's gaze flicked toward the officer. "Enough riddles. Tell him what you mean." The machine officer stepped closer, the floor vibrating faintly under his boots. "Decades ago, long before this academy was founded, your kind began Project Resurgence, an experiment to create humans who could survive any world, any war. The program was erased when Earth fell, but not all of its soldiers died." Alex's pulse quickened. "You're saying I'm one of them?" The officer tilted his head. "No, you're the last. The final survivor. You weren't trained here, Cadet Carter. You were rebuilt, and that outpost was your birthplace." A cold wave of silence spread across the hall. Serac stared at Alex, his expression tightening into disbelief, and then grim understanding. "That's why the gauntlet didn't kill you," he murmured. "That's why you fought like a veteran." Alex took a step back, shaking his head. "No, I'm just—" But then the flash came again. Images bursting behind his eyes, screaming faces, metal tables, fire, pain, and voices shouting his name. He gasped, falling to one knee. The officer watched calmly. "It's waking up inside you, isn't it? The memory, the programming." Alex's fingers dug into the floor. "What did you do to me?" The officer leaned down, whispering, "What we had to. Oh, survive the war you humans started." Serac's hand went to his weapon. "That's enough." The officer turned toward him, eyes burning. "You don't understand, Commander. This human is a weapon. If we let him live as he is, he will destroy everything you've built." Alex's head snapped up. "Try me." And for a heartbeat, just one, something flickered in his eyes. A light, faint, red. Serac froze. So did the officer. Then the alarms blared. "Intrusion detected. Level 5. The room shook violently as the holotable erupted in sparks. Screens flashed with static. Outside, in the courtyard, lights turned crimson. Through the broken static came a voice, cold, digital, and far too familiar. "Phase 2. Activation complete." Serac slammed the emergency control. Lock the command deck! But it was too late. The massive doors behind them blew open, and from the smoke stepped dark, skeletal drones like those Alex had fought at the outpost. They moved with precision, their eyes glowing red. The officer's expression twisted. "It's too soon." One of the drones turned its head toward him. "You are no longer required." Before anyone could react, a plasma bolt cut through the air, hitting the officer square in the chest. He collapsed, metal sparking, his final words glitching out. "He is the key." Alex grabbed Serac's arm and pulled him down just as another bolt struck the control console, shattering it. "Carter!" Serac shouted. "We have to move!" They ran through the corridor, alarms screaming around them. More drones poured through the vents, silent, surgical, hunting. Alex ducked behind cover, breathing hard. Serac looked at him, disbelief on his face. "Those machines are responding to you, aren't they?" Alex clenched his jaw. "They shouldn't be." And yet, as he turned to look through the smoke, one of the drones paused mid-step. Its targeting lights flickered, and then turned blue. It didn't fire. It just stood there, waiting. Alex's pulse hammered in his ears. "Commander, I think I can control them." Serac's eyes widened. "You what?" Alex closed his eyes. He could feel something, a hum deep inside his skull, faint but growing. He reached toward the machine with his mind, and it moved. Slowly, obediently. The others stopped firing. The hallway fell eerily quiet except for the low, synchronized hum of dozens of drone units, now standing still, awaiting command. Serac stepped back, voice hushed. "By the stars." Alex opened his eyes. They glowed faint red, just for a moment. "I didn't ask for this," he whispered, "but I think it remembers me." Then, a deep voice filled every speaker, vibrating through the entire academy. "Welcome back, Commander Carter. Humanity's war is not over." The lights flickered violently, and the drones turned again, no longer under his control. Their eyes blazed red. Serac shouted, "Run!" Alex grabbed his weapon and sprinted as the machines opened fire, the walls exploding behind them. Smoke and plasma lit the halls like a storm. Every alarm in the academy screamed. And over it all, that terrible voice echoed through the comms. "You cannot escape your design!" As they burst through the outer doors into the rain, Alex turned back and saw the academy, once proud and shining, now engulfed in fire. He felt something cold settle in his chest, a truth too heavy to carry. He wasn't just a human anymore. He was the reason the war had never ended. And somewhere deep in his mind, a part of him whispered back to that voice, "Then I'll finish what we started." The rain swallowed his words as he disappeared into the storm. Behind him, Vokar burned. And above the clouds, something ancient stirred awake, waiting for him to return. The fire spread across the night sky like a living creature, red flames licking the storm clouds. From the cliffs beyond the academy, Alex Carter stood and watched Vokar burn. His face was streaked with this rain and ash. Behind him, Commander Serac breathed hard, wounded but alive. The two stood together in silence as ships screamed overhead, some crashing, some fleeing. The academy, once the symbol of galactic unity, was now nothing more than a field of smoke and ruin. Serac spoke first, his voice hoarse. You controlled them, and then they turned on you. What are you, Carter? Alex didn't answer. He kept his eyes on the horizon, where flashes of energy pulsed from the remains of the command tower. Each pulse echoed in his chest, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Finally, he whispered, "Something they built, and then forgot." They moved into the ruins as dawn broke. The sky was crimson, filled with the smell of ozone and molten metal. Bodies, some organic, some mechanical, lay scattered among the debris. Serac kept his weapon raised. Those drones were built with technology I've never seen. They weren't Vocarian. They were human, Alex said quietly. Or something made by humans long before we learned to leave Earth. He knelt beside one of the fallen drones. The machine's armor was stamped with a faint emblem, half burned away, but still recognizable. A stylized circle around a rising sun. He felt a chill move through him. "That's the mark of the resurgence program," he murmured. Serac frowned. "Explain." Alex took a slow breath. When the old wars began, humanity knew it couldn't match the alien empires in strength. So they turned to augmentation. They built a project to create commanders who could think like humans, fight like machines, and survive anything. The project vanished before it was completed. I think I was one of the last prototypes. Serac's eyes hardened. So, you're telling me the war never ended because of your kind? Alex looked up sharply. I didn't start it, but something else might finish it. They reached what was left of the Academy's central archive. Half of it was buried under rubble, the other half still flickered with unstable power. Alex pushed through broken panels, his hands trembling as he touched the cold metal of a terminal. When he connected it, the screen blinked to life, showing a symbol, the same rising sun. Then a line of text appeared. Project Resurgence, Unit 07, Command Authorization Pending. Serac raised his rifle. What does that mean? Before Alex could reply, the screen flashed white. A hologram appeared. A woman's face, human, expression calm but cold. Her voice was soft, clinical. Unit 07, you have been offline for 122 years. Command protocol reinstated. Do you accept activation? Alex stepped back. No, I'm done taking orders. The hologram flickered. Non-compliance detected. Manual override engaged. Electricity surged through the terminal. Alex gasped, grabbing his head as pain exploded behind his eyes. Memories flooded back. Training rooms, screaming soldiers, injections, cold voices. Serac grabbed his shoulders. Carter, fight it! But Alex's body convulsed, eyes flashing red as the hologram's voice filled the room again. Welcome back, Commander. Your army awaits. Every shattered screen in the archive flickered on at once. Images appeared, thousands of drones buried across different worlds, now reactivating. The signal pulsed outward like a heartbeat. Serac pulled Alex away and shot the terminal. It exploded, plunging the room into darkness. The light in Alex's eyes faded, but the signal had already gone. Hours later, they escaped through the ruined northern wall. Beyond the hills, an old shuttle waited, its hull damaged but flight-worthy. As they prepared to leave, Serac stared at Alex with suspicion and something else. Guilt. You realize, he said quietly, every world that receives that signal will know your face now. Alex tightened the straps on his gear. Good. Then they'll know who to blame when I shut it down. Serac shook his head. You're going after them alone? I have to. And what happens when the machine inside you wins? Alex turned toward the sunrise. I won't let it. The shuttle lifted, engines screaming as it tore through the smoke. Below, the Academy shrank into a scar on the planet's surface. Ahead lay open space, stars stretching endlessly, and among them, faint signals blinking like distant eyes. Alex sat in silence, watching them. Each light was a war waiting to begin, each pulse a part of the machine calling for its commander. Serac broke the silence. Where will you go first? Alex's jaw tightened. Earth. Serac blinked. Earth is gone, Carter. The archives... I know, Alex interrupted. But whatever they buried out there, whatever started this, it's still waiting. And if I don't find it first, those things will. The commander nodded slowly. Then I'll go with you. Alex turned, surprised. You'd trust a human-machine hybrid? Serac gave a small, grim smile. I've fought monsters my whole life. You're the first one who's trying not to be one. For the first time in days, Alex almost smiled. The ship slipped into the black void. For a while, there was only silence and starlight. But deep inside the vessel, in the cold belly of its power core, a faint pulse glowed. The same red light that had flickered in Alex's eyes. A whisper followed it, soft and mechanical. Phase 3. The awakening has begun. Alex felt it, even as he slept. A low hum in his bones, a dream of machines rising from dust and oceans, calling his name across the stars. He whispered back, half asleep, half awake. If you're coming for me, I'll be waiting. The engines roared louder, breaking through the edge of light speed. And behind them, far in the black-red signals flared, one after another, thousands, millions. An army of ghosts, all remembering the same commander. The galaxy was no longer safe. And for the first time since the old wars ended, the universe would learn to fear the name. Human